The Great Pyramid is a 6 million ton anomaly. It contains over 2 million stone blocks, shaped and stacked with a precision that remains difficult to explain. This diagram shows how the base of the structure aligns almost perfectly to true north. Builders achieved this accuracy without magnetic compasses, likely by marking the tip of a shadow as the sun moved between east and west on the day of the equinox. For centuries, the popular understanding of this project came from the Greek historian Herodotus. He described a wicked king who forced an army of 100,000 starving slaves to labor under the threat of the whip. But modern archaeology has found the remains of the actual builders, and they weren't slaves. They were a highly organized, willing workforce of Egyptian citizens who were well-fed and provided with medical care. To understand why tens of thousands of people volunteered for this backbreaking labor, we have to look at the unique environmental crisis that dictated the rhythm of Egyptian life. Ancient Egypt was defined by the annual cycle of the Nile. Every year, predictable rains in the highlands caused the river to swell and overflow its banks. For 4 months of the year, the Nile flood submerged every acre of farmland. The entire agrarian economy was forced to a halt, leaving the country's massive farming population with no work to do and no fields to tend. Pharaoh Khufu recognized that this seasonal labor pool was a massive, untapped resource. He recruited these idle farmers for a national project, transforming a seasonal agricultural shutdown into the primary driver of the state. At the foot of the Giza Plateau, archaeologists discovered the remains of a lost city, designed specifically to house these workers. It was a highly ordered settlement with bakeries, workshops, and dormitories. Supporting this workforce required a massive industrial infrastructure. Thousands of bread molds found at the site suggest the bakeries were producing enough food to feed 10 to 20,000 people every day. The workers' diet was far better than what a slave would receive. Analysis of animal remains shows they were regularly fed high-quality beef, sheep, and goat, providing the protein needed for years of intense physical labor. Behind the scenes, a network of specialists kept the project moving. Coppersmiths worked in a constant cycle of melting and resharpening the soft metal tools that the stonecutters used to shape the limestone. The state's immense investment in housing and nutrition proves these laborers were an elite class. They were the engine of the empire, and their health was critical to the project's success. We have a first-hand record of this administration from a papyrus logbook belonging to an overseer named Merer. It functions like a modern spreadsheet, detailing the daily transport of fine limestone from across the river. Merer's team used the Nile flood to their advantage. They channeled the water into artificial basins at Giza, creating a navigable path that allowed cargo ships to float heavy materials directly to the base of the plateau. This photograph shows the logistical challenge of sourcing materials. While limestone was quarried nearby, the massive granite blocks for the burial chambers had to be shipped from Aswan, 500 miles downriver. To carry that weight, the Egyptians engineered flexible ships. These vessels weren't held together with metal nails. The wooden planks were stitched together with miles of rope, allowing the hull to flex as it navigated the river. This constant need for stone, copper, and timber forced isolated regions to work in sync, creating a national supply chain that reached from the Red Sea to the far south. On the ground, the work was a matter of brute force. Laborers hauled 2-ton limestone blocks on wooden sledges across the desert sand. They used a counterintuitive physics trick to make this easier. By pouring exactly the right amount of water onto the sand, they reduced friction, allowing the sledges to glide with half the effort. Millions of tons of stone pressed down directly on the king's chamber, a weight that could crush its flat ceiling. The solution? A stack of relieving chambers topped by a gabled roof, which deflects the downward weight safely into the pyramid's massive core. This design was the result of 80 years of hard-won experience. Khufu's predecessors had faced near disasters, including his father's pyramid that began to collapse when the slope of its sides proved too steep. To avoid a similar failure, the Giza engineers chose to over-engineer the interior, ensuring the structure would stand for eternity. In the final years, workers covered the rough core blocks with a casing of fine Tura limestone, transforming the stepped structure into a smooth geometric shape. This image shows how the pyramid originally appeared. The polished white limestone acted as a massive mirror, reflecting the desert sun with a brilliance that was visible for miles. For the Egyptians, this wasn't just a monument, it was a magical machine. By ensuring the rebirth of the pharaoh, the pyramid guaranteed the rising of the sun and the continued survival of the kingdom. Every stone pulled and every loaf of bread baked was considered a cosmic investment in the eternal prosperity of the country. While the spiritual purpose was eternal, the sociological impact of the project was immediate. 30 years of continuous construction had created a new permanent reality for the country. The project left behind a standardized system of tools, a centralized administration, and a national infrastructure that had never existed before. Working side by side on the Giza Plateau, generations of farmers from different regions dissolved their local loyalties and began to see themselves as part of a single people. The logistical demands of the construction effectively assembled the nation of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians did not merely build the Great Pyramid. The requirements of the project are what actually forged the nation.